I'm not sure this falls under the equal time provisions, but our next inductee is John Hunts-Weber. At an early teenage novice, John Hunts-Weber suffered his most humiliating tennis defeat at the hands of a capable young female racketeer at Lorraine Central Park. Many a beginner would have hung up the racket for good, but not John. With his inimitable spirit and a little German stubbornness, John set out to master the game. Master it he did, and it became his life's work and life's bliss. At the high school level, John managed 7 letters, 2 each in track and basketball, and of course 3 in tennis. The summer of 1937 brought his first big tournament win, the Lorraine City Juniors Crown. He repeated in 1938 and then captured the men's city trophy each year until called to serve with the 3rd Infantry in the Italian campaign of World War II. Upon his stateside return to Fort Benning, Georgia, Hunts returned immediately to tennis and successive post-singles titles in 44 and 45, along with a 1945 doubles crown. Baldwin Wallace offered John a basketball grant in 1946 that he accepted, but tennis still dominated, and John played #1 singles in 47 and 48. During the latter year, he won the Ohio Conference title and remained undefeated. John topped off a banner year by whipping Tony Traber in a challenge match at Gates Mills Country Club. While at BW, Weber coached the tennis team in 1949 and 50 as foot and ankle problems plagued him. He assigned fellow teammate and pupil Bud Collins to write all the press for the team. At this juncture, the word on John's prowess became known throughout Ohio. His record from 1937 through 1948 indicated he had not lost a singles match, had won every tournament he entered, and was stamped by many as Ohio's dominant player. He was chosen to represent Ohio in the NCAA tourney in 1948 at UCLA. Ironically, he was finally defeated after 12 years by Chris Everett's father. Bud Collins went on to his own fame as a Boston Globe writer and TV's tennis analyst. John and Bud still correspond today. The California trip preyed on John's mind, not his initial defeat, but the weather. If he lived there, he could play tennis every day, instruct eager youngsters and avid adults every day. Every day would be heaven. And so, after receiving his degree in 1950 at BW, it was California, here we come, with his wife Esther. They settled in Redondo Beach, where Weber received his master's degree from USC in 1952. He taught junior high until 1963, when he became the first teaching professional and manager at the Palos Verdes Tennis Club. Even though residing in the West, John and Esther have returned during the summer. He taught tennis groups at 4 city parks and ran the City Journal tennis tournaments until 1958. John Weber has won a tennis title event for 53 consecutive years, with the exception of 1943, when all tournament play was suspended because of World War II. To date, he has been a finalist in over 300 events and garnered 250 titles. He won 14 tournaments in 1958 and a dozen in 1983, including 2 national public park tournaments. He is always a physical fitness buff. John now looks forward to playing beyond this century. Now 70, he has little doubt that he will be in a match of some kind when he reaches the age of 100. Even though he has captured at least 1 title at every level of play, city, county, state, and national. Now known as Jack Weber and the Dean of South Bay Tennis Teachers in California, Hunts estimates that he has coached or instructed on to 5,000 students ranging in age from 5 to 87. He has coached or been in fundraisers and exhibitions with Sonny Bono, Charlton Heston, Dinah Shore, Ginger Rogers, Ann Southern, Peter Lawford, Kirk Douglas, Bill Cosby, and others, and has assisted in instructional clinics and exhibitions with Jack Kramer, Arthur Ashe, Pancho Gonzalez, Ken Rosewall, Tony Traber, and other tennis greats. A generous contributor of instructional articles for Tennis Illustrated, Tennis News, and other periodicals, John has also published manuals for beginning tennis instruction and tennis instructional manual for the special education student. When asked what he was most proud of in his illustrious career, John's list reads: 1, we are a tennis family, Esther, Laurie, Nancy, Chip, and I. 2, coaching, instructing over 5,000 players who now can call me coach. 3, the teaching manual for retarded youngsters. 4, encouraging preteens to learn the game so they can inhabit the tennis courts and not the police courts. Welcome John Hunts-Weber to the Lorraine Sports Hall of Fame.
stationery store this morning and asked them if they had any 2-foot by 2-foot index cards. That way I wouldn't need the glasses. But I have to settle for these. I don't really need glasses. It's only if I want to know what I'm reading. It's wonderful to be received this way in my hometown, and an honor to be the recipient of such a tribute. I remember reading a very profound line by Alfred Lord Tennyson, which said, "I am part of all I have ever met." This is certainly very true for me. I owe a huge debt of gratitude to many, many Lorraine people, starting with Helen and Dorothy Ryan. During the middle 1930s, these two sisters let me use one of their rackets to hit a few balls, and they also taught me how to keep score. I didn't realize they were two of the top lady tennis players in Lorraine. I lost many sets to them that summer. Also that year, an adult fellow by the name of Cletus Metz, who after losing a match at Central Park was so mad about the loss he threw his racket into a nearby children's wading pool. And then he left the park. I ran into the water and had my first quality-type tennis racket. Then there was Walter Rayfield, an adult who kept strings in my brother Henry's racket and mine, even though many times we didn't have the 25 or 50 cents to pay for the string replacements. Another debt of gratitude is owed to my brother Henry, who was always ready to practice or play in a tournament, even though sometimes it meant not going to a dance at Cedar Point or Crystal Beach. My sister, Marie Schneider, who put in countless hours every week to have our white shoes, and white shirts, and shorts, and long white pants ready for play. Many thanks are due to my wonderful wife, Esther, an Elyria girl, for putting up with being a tennis widow on so many weekends the past 45 plus years. And last but not least, Gloria Holtwick, a Hall of Fame tennis player in her own right, for her time and effort to submit my name for this nomination. Tennis is a great game for people of all ages. Regardless of the economy, in many areas of the country, the game is picking up at an accelerated pace. Some public and private clubs are open 7 days a week now, where a court can be rented for an hour or a season. These are good, healthy signs for our young people, especially now with so many gang and drug problems just everywhere. There are a couple of tennis club advertising signs I have recently read. One goes something like this: "The family that plays together stays together." And "Parents, help your children out of the play, help keep your children out of the police courts. Go with them to the tennis courts." I have one last personal tennis goal: to play in a tournament in the 100-year category. They're playing into the 85s now for national titles around the country, and each year these 85s get a little older, and pretty soon I'll be out there. And by that time they'll have the 100-year category. It may be wheelchair tennis, but that'll be okay. So some of my Lorraine tennis friends here, like Olga, Tilly, Gloria, Bob, Butch, my cousin John, and the many younger players I play social tennis with each summer when I vacation in Lorraine, please go easy on me for the next 30 years so I can last out. And if I'm in a wheelchair, how about right now agreeing to let me have a 3-bounce rule instead of the 2 bounces that the wheelchair rules call for. Once again, thank you all for this great honor, and I love you all.